our initial contract approvals. So I'll screen share my agenda after that. We start. Good to go?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
All right, thank you. Welcome everyone to the regular meeting of the MCS Board of Directors for Monday, September 9th, 2024. It's 5 p.m. It's our new start time, hopefully to better align with everyone's evenings and get us out the door a little quicker. I do not have any pre-submitted public comments, but I do have for item number 3 a change to the agenda. So I'll screen share my agenda real quick. So in the ED report section, we have a calendar revision, and that was dictated by D21 here. So that'll be this edition. And then down in employees is a new section added, contract approval for vice principal contract. 2 action items there. We try not to add action items to our agenda prior to, after it's published, but sometimes things need to happen. So this had to happen. So I apologize for that, but it is what it is. Does anyone have any questions about those agenda? Go ahead.
Not about those.
Okay.
But it was an agenda thing.
Oh yeah, go ahead. I can screen share it again here.
Well, I was just wondering if I could make a quick change or an addition. It's nothing big, but about community involvement and some things that Tiger Den want to do for some get-togethers with the community and the parents, but we want the board to be present. So I need to talk with you guys about that first.
So maybe a new item under the garden work party.
Sure.
Okay. Community involvement.
Yeah, just like outreach for Michelle and the board to like host some events for parents to get to know us, get to know her.
Okay. Added item number 9. Anything else? Okay, I'll make a motion that we approve the agenda as changed. Can I get a second? And I can't say thank you, Avelia. All those in favor? Aye. Anybody not in favor, please voice your opposition. Okay, the motion passes and we've adopted this agenda. That'll bring us to item number 4, which is the business manager report. And Michelle, do you want me to pull up your ED report that you sent out for that?
Unmute. You can, I mean, I could just, it's pretty basic, I think, as far as the business manager. So we have new procedures and online forms for reimbursements, use of the community card and the debit card. Summer at first had a concern, and then when we explained it to her, she's like, oh no, that's great. It just helps Veronica because she's not on campus. Everything's online. She can look at the card, she can look at the receipts and match them up together. So she said it's been very helpful to her. There's a new form for staff to complete if they have a question for the business office, if they have a payroll question, HRA question, insurance question. The reason I did that, it just helps me understand. It was going to help both Veronica understand issues that we have, and like the HRA seems to be a big issue. And so if we have documentation and then we can see what it is, that we kind of address those issues. So far, nobody's filled out anything, so we're okay. We temporarily solve the issues. My guess is once we're kind of finishing up with open enrollment, once we roll out the new health insurance, my guess is that that form will be used a little bit. So we have also moved all of extra duty, personal, like when you have a personal day, all of those things are now online at Frontline. Veronica can go online and submit a report. So it's also making, hopefully the goal is to make payroll more accurate and have better documentation, everything, because it's online. Teachers go online, they complete it. If they have, a sick day, they don't need any approval for, but if they have a personal day, the approval is just going to be a simple email to me. or Jen and just letting us know about it. They put it in the system, we can see it. So, because there's really, I can't imagine I would ever not approve a personal day. It's just kind of acknowledging that we have a personal day on there. And so far, I think that's working pretty well. All the new checking accounts are set up for nutrition services in the group HRA. And there's still no access to that LG IP, whatever that's called, account. She's gone back and forth with them. It's been just frustrating at this point. So she every day tries to work on it a little bit. She was going to try and do a little bit more. They need one more thing. They need one more thing. And so pretty hard to access any of that money. Good news is we haven't really needed to access it. There was a point where we thought we did, but we got a state check, so we were okay. So
Okay.
any questions?
So it sounds like there's a lot of procedural cleanup and tracking, and a lot of those kind of submission forms so you're able to track the needs for whether it's healthcare or whatever it happens to be. There's just a more streamlined process.
Right. And then every week I send a weekly information out to staff, and I have an important link. So all those links are on that. So if they ever needed that link, it will be there. The goal is to have it on the website. And so Sarah Grace is working on that part. We'll have a place, it's like a portal where the staff can go in. It will be password protected, but all of those forms would be we're just trying to make the links easy for people to find. So they have access to it every week. It's on the agenda or on their weekly information that they get. So, and I'm sorry about the contract. That's my fault. Jen's contract was my fault. Just trying, and we went round and round because we had some old information. The good news is I think all of the contracts now are up to date, what they should be. Veronica has them in this nice little file. So when we go to do contracts next year, it's going to be super easy to do. So.
Thank you. Any questions for Michelle on that information presented for the business manager report? And there's probably some overlap there, Avelia, but that brings us to item number 5, treasurer's report.
Yeah, well, I'm not gonna overlap myself. I think for right now, what I wanted to do is to see if there's any reports that I might be missing. We are going to meet this coming Monday at 10, which is the regular time that Michelle and Veronica meet. I'm going to be in that meeting now, and we're going to really pinpoint the reports that need to be shared. Hopefully within the week, we will have all these reports to give you guys about 2 to 3 weeks for the board to be able to go and review all these reports. And then please only contact me with the questions you guys might have, because I will be meeting with Michelle and Veronica a week before our next board meeting to go over any of these questions that we could possibly ease for the board meeting. But these reports, one, we are overdue with the credit card transactions. So we usually need to approve these credit cards that are being paid each month. So Veronica will, and I know she's been working on it, so she probably will have month by month a very user or really easy readable friendly version for us. I'm also asking for a month to month, pretty much like a profit and loss. So what is actually happening? How much money is coming in during that month? What are our expenses? So have we been negative? Have we been kind of, which in all purposes, I am going to also have more of a bigger over report that says where we are financially, because not because we have losses during a month means that we are negative in our bank account. It just means we overspent a little bit more than what was coming in during that month, per se. And then also, Dan, maybe you and I want to meet with Veronica and see if there's anything that we can be doing to get that LG IP account a little bit more ease. It's been, I mean, we're getting really close to the year trying to access that, and it's just not happening, and there's way too many. I mean, the funds are just there, and I think we've been really fortunate that it hasn't been needed to be grabbed, but it's still good if we can ease that process.
Okay.
Is there any other, I know that McKenna once asked for the fundraiser report to just kind of see and outline that specifically. So I will be asking for that as well. Is there any other reports that I should ask Veronica to see if how many reports she can get us ready during these weeks for us to review in a more timely manner?
Yeah, and I did
No,
want to say, we did move that one checking account, the Explorer one is now, that's where all of the fundraising money is going into, so we can separate it out because we are constantly getting, we raised money or I had a grant and all those things, so there's better tracking of those funds. So, and my understanding is the report that she's going to generate is like, here's our budgeted items. Here we, are we on budget and what is and you look at it as a percentage of over the year, if we're above or below percentage wise of spending out the budget. So it's a pretty standard report that that most school districts have. She's had a problem with it because of, I think, just kind of reconciling a few things. So, but she's also in the middle, they're starting the 23-24 audit, getting ready for that. So
Yeah. McKenna, I think that when we talked a little bit, it was more of also seeing what has actually come in and what the allocation has been throughout 2023-2024 school year presently right now, correct?
Exactly.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
also 2022, before I was ever on the board, I know, the Mead for Mosier that year had done at least $8,000. And so just be interesting to know where we're at.
Okay.
Go ahead, Marie.
Yeah, I have a question, and I don't know if it's appropriate to talk about it in public session. Just wonder what the main, if there's one particular obstacle to gaining the access to the LGIQ accounts, or, is this?
Every time so far, they just keep asking for new things. So we submit whatever they ask for, we sign the document, send it off, and then they want something else, or they lose the paperwork, or whatever happens. So we're just in this cycle over and over again. And I think, like Avelia said, if we just get together and meet and figure out, okay, what do you want? What do you need from us? And then nail it down rather than having it kind of just drift along month to month. And we keep trying to deal with it.
Do they have a physical office?
I don't know.
I don't know. They have lost the paperwork twice, and I faxed it once. They didn't have it. And Daphne watched me do it. So it's been pretty frustrating. So.
Yeah. Well, the thing that took the longest was taking off the authorized users from the past and adding us in fully. And right now it's been more of, unfortunately, we don't have a specific person that we can, like a teller that is assigned to us. So Veronica continues to have to talk to different personnel. So maybe this is something as a board that we want to maybe outweigh and see if there's any other account that we might in the future want to look into that might be a little bit more friendly to work with.
And I think more of what Marie's getting to, is there a physical place we can actually go to and see someone in person, and like we did with the other bank, Umpqua. So yeah, let's
so my understanding, so this is like through the state of Oregon. It's a local investment through from the state of Oregon. And so my guess is there's probably not a place. Well, it says offer. No. Well, there is an office in Tigard.
I'm just thinking sometimes if you go with all the documents, have a meeting, sit down, it might,
yeah,
just,
yeah.
Okay. We'll keep working on it.
Yeah.
Any other reports that anyone can think of that Avelia needs to work on or prepare?
Oh, and just something that I know we continue to say month by month, and it's been over a year now. We're still not we're still trying to close the American Express card.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you being, diligent on doing that. I know it's been a pain, and it's not easy when you don't have anyone who was an authorized signer before to be able to close them out. So at some point, I'm sure it will get done, but it seems like it's just very frustrating. So thank you for working on it. Any other questions about any of those things we just talked about? Okay, that'll move us to the item number 6, the MTA report.
That's us. Hey.
Welcome.
Well, we have a few reports to give start of the year. So we'll start with the 4-5. Sarah Grace wrote in and she says, "We are off to a great start in 4-5. It has been wonderful to witness the benefits of multi-age as returning students come back to my class. This week we played with the Ozobots, which is the science coding robots, and played mini games to get to know each other. I'm excited and eager to see what the year holds." In the 2-3 classrooms, we are learning our classroom routines in these new weeks, welcoming our new classmates, and all seem to be happy to be back and falling into routines. Both classes created our classroom promises, which kind of hold each other to being respectful and kind and safe and honest. It has been neat to see those students who we had last year taken those leadership roles and help guide the new students as they come in. Students really are loving the new music class, and we are seeing benefits to the smaller class sizes in PE.
I'd say that everyone seems to be pretty psyched to be back, and it's a really positive feeling in the school, and we are off to a great start. Melina writes about middle school, and she said, they too are off to a great start. Music seems to be a hit. Neither myself or Savannah have heard complaining about it. And those middle schoolers are super vocal if they don't like something. The large afternoon class sizes will take a little time to get used to. 25 teenagers in a class is a lot.
So that's all we have for reports. Any questions?
Thank you. Go ahead, Amelia.
Well, first of all, thank you. At least as a parent, my children have been extremely excited about school and bringing back very funny stories.
I'm sure.
My littlest one shared with the whole family, uncles including, about some popcorn.
Oh, yes.
Experience.
How exciting that popcorn is.
But I guess one of my comments was, I don't think even for myself, I think maybe it would be okay. I'm not sure if it's okay or not, but is there any way, if any parents or even anyone privately that isn't a parent ever wants to give any donation to classrooms, what is the correct process, Dan or Michelle, to do that?
They can donate away. They cannot donate directly to, like, we couldn't give Mary Ellen $1,000 for Mary Ellen to go have fun. We can give Mary Ellen $1,000 to go have fun with her class. So there's an ethics law that we can, teachers and public staff can only take $50 at a time from somebody, but if it's used for the whole, they can do that at any time they want. We would probably let Veronica have another little accounting, like a little accounting system to kind of, I think that's been like probably one of the toughest things is these teachers are very good at getting grants and just keeping track of that. That's our next thing, is to do that. But parents are welcome to donate away. So they can actually go online and donate on the Square account. And I could actually make one for each classroom, and it could go that way too. So that would be really easy.
That sounds like a great
Wow.
idea.
Yeah, one last thing, Michelle, I think it's just good to maybe say it in public for everyone to know. If they do it through the square, there is fees associated, correct? So the best way is to actually hand deliver a check, probably to Daphne or yourself. What would be the correct process to do that?
Hand it to Daphne, don't give it to me. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's great to hear the school year is off to a good start, and there's a positive vibe. That makes me happy. Thank you. Any other questions for our MTA reps?
I want to add, and even though it's been said a couple of times, that it is great to have Nathan Strands in the school and providing music for the kids. He wrote a song, a school song for us, and he just like whipped it out. He did such a great job, and he's got such a wonderful, even appeal to him.
Yes,
So I just wanted to add that.
he is the big win.
There's some great additions to our school.
Awesome. Go ahead, Marie.
Hi, thanks, teachers. I've been hearing a lot of excitement and happy to hear that school's off to a good start. I am concerned about the middle school teachers, and I just wonder if you could give us a sense if the 25 students per class being a lot is maybe particularly intense at the beginning of the school year, or, you know, if there's this feeling from the teachers that it might, you know, the class might gel and become easier to manage, or whether we need to start thinking about, you know, how to make them feel supported. I'm sure you're already all thinking about it, Michelle included.
So their schedule is, so they start out with music and PE in the morning. So they have an hour prep every morning. And then after that, they're split into 3 groups, so the classes are no more than 17. And that is for the morning. So that starts at 8:45. 8:45, about probably 8:50, and goes until lunch. And so they rotate through, like they would start out with, like a 6th grader might start out with math, they go to ELA, and then they have a study hall. And so the 7th graders might start out with the ELA, go to study hall, and go to math. It just rotates. And so there's never any more than 17 kids in there. And then they go to lunch. And then when they come back to lunch, that's when you have their base camps. So you have them split into, currently they have 24 in each class. On Wednesday, they'll have 25 because we have two new. We lost 2, and so we added 2 to that. And we do officially have a wait list because we do have somebody else that wants in. But I did ask them if they were willing to go to 25, and that's where we kind of stopped at. So they have 25 for science and 25 for social sciences. And while I realize that might seem like it's real, that's still a pretty good class size. I mean, in the Dalles, my guess, their class sizes are more in the 28, 29 range. So, and so I do appreciate them being at 25. I think if you ever got to 20, I don't think those rooms are really big enough for 26 in those classrooms. 27, I wouldn't go beyond that, but I think 25 is still pretty reasonable. So, and hopefully with science and social science, they'll, especially with science, they'll get them outside a little bit more. So.
Thank you.
And they do have a TA, they have an educational assistant with them all morning. And so that they have an extra person there as well. As long as, and they also have some student services support. So that's ELD, they have special education that is down there in the morning with them. We have a partnership with the ESD that has a migrant ed person that comes in on Tuesdays, and he is down there in the mornings with them. So I think they have it pretty, I think they have fairly small classes in the morning, so it would be the afternoon.
Any other questions regarding the MTA report? Okay, thank you. That brings us to the executive director report, item number 7. Michelle, do you want me to bring up the report you sent me? Okay, just one second.
it's changed every time I start doing it. Like I think about one more thing. So sorry. I'll go ahead and get started while you're getting that. So enrollment right now, I think we're back at we were down to 160. We're back at 162 as of well, it will start on Wednesday. They registered today. We have to get them in power schools, and then they'll come for their first day on Wednesday, and that was in middle school. So I would say that we could take more kids in the kindergarten, first grade area. 2, 3, you are full. And then 4, 5, they could maybe accept one more just to kind of, because they're I think 19, 20, they're both Sarah Grace and Anne Marie seem pretty happy with those class sizes. I would say I wouldn't want them to go much larger. Those kids have a lot of they just need a lot more attention and for their ELA and math to get them all up to where we want our expectations for them. And we're right there, you can kind of see the enrollment for middle school and where they're at. So, and then preschool, we have 5 very happy preschoolers and a wonderful preschool teacher. They're doing really well. They come in and they join us for lunch. They came to our morning meeting today. I don't think she's ever had more than 4 at a time though, because one was, we've had sickness, we've had vacations and all of that. We reached out to Migrant Ed because supposedly they have money to help some of our families that it's a burden, the amount of money to pay. But we got turned down for that. But I'm gonna go try again because I have a connection at Hood River, and she's like, "No, absolutely, you got money to use that." So we're hoping to offer that to about 4 families that reside in Mosier. And if not, it will probably be in December that we'll hopefully get the preschool promise. Staffing, we're fully staffed at this time. We are looking for substitute classroom teachers and educational assistants. I put that in the newsletter. We'll just kind of keep asking people. I think we've had 1 new person that I can write a sponsorship letter for anybody that has a bachelor's degree and wouldn't mind being classroom teacher. That's a pretty easy thing. I think it's $100 and then they have a substitute license that has to be renewed every year. We could also use a substitute in the kitchen for a cook. Poor Richard can't take any time off, and he is going to be taking about a week and a couple of days off at the end of September. So we are in need. Marie did come in one day and stepped in and helped with that, but he will be gone for a week, and so we're just trying to figure out what that looks like. Might be a lot of pre-cooked meals that week for everybody. So we'll just do the best that we can. We have plenty. I think the cafeteria seems to be going pretty well right now with the salad bar and all that. Health room update is going, I think going pretty well. Ashley's in there. It's not pulling Daphne away every time she has to do that. Ashley's done a really good job. We do have a RN that's interested in coming in 2 or 3 days a month. We've been trying to figure out how to actually make that happen. And I kind of have a workaround. She's going to sign up to be a substitute, and then we can just get her that way. And so she's actually employed by ESS. And then when we need her, we just add her in for a day. And so that will kind of cover her and cover us. I have a meeting with Dana Peterson on Wednesday. She's going to come in. She's from the ESD. That's really where the nursing staff should come from. But the ESD has kind of the ultimate model of that. And I talked to Jamie Smith, who is in charge of the Multnomah County ESD. And my understanding is that is a model they're working towards, but they're not there yet. So I am going to have a conversation to see if there was some way that they would hire them, and that would be part of our, because with the ESD, the state gives them money, and then it's like a menu item that we can choose to spend our money that way. I don't know how much, but that's what happens with technology. So having the health room down on the floor where everybody else is seems to be a lot better for the kids. Ashley's out on recess, and so she can kind of help with that as well. We already talked about the business office, so we can kind of move through that one. Calendar, we're going to talk about the calendar, I think, later on, or is that when we want to talk about the calendar later on? And it's really just, I do want to just well, let's talk about that later on. Sarah Grace is on here. She's going to talk about curriculum for you.
Hi, everybody. I made a presentation, but I'm just going to do this quick so I can say it instead of sharing my screen. Michelle has been phenomenal with getting new curriculum. I think all teachers would agree that we feel like our voices are being heard when it comes to curriculum this year. The big purchase that was made for us was science curriculum. In all the time that I've been at Mosier, we haven't had any science curriculum. And I think that's part of the reflection in our 5th and 8th grade science scores for Oregon. And so we really put a lot of thought into that. We had a meeting with teachers at an in-service, and the plan was to get one science curriculum, and we ended up going with 2 because there was one that fit K-3 a little bit better and then one that fit 4 through 8. And so we went with Twig Science. K through 3 really enjoyed it because they liked the activities and the hands-on materials and the leveled readers that came with it. And then 4 through 8 went with STEM Scopes. It's really standards based, and it's not majority online, which most upper elementary and middle school science programs are primarily doing simulations and reading all on your Chromebook. So STEM Scopes is not like that at all. I think the only part they have online for kids is coding, which will become a mandatory or a standard in NGSS for science in the year 2026. So we do want to teach that to kids, but we don't want them on a computer the whole time. So science curriculum is on its way, hopefully in the next 3 to 5 weeks. Big update that we've done for kindergarten and 1st grade is we've taken them completely off Chromebooks. So they are basically tech free, which I think we've kind of gotten hints of that from multiple different sources. And so because of that, they're now using Dibbles for their reading assessment. And our new Forefront is our kind of like our data loading system where we put all the kids' information into it. And they have universal screeners on there. So they're going to use that for math. So K1 is doing something kind of different. 2nd through 8th grade is still going to use the iReady diagnostics. And then we're also going to use Dibbles as our 3-time-a-year screener for kiddos. We've basically kept most of the same for reading. However, we're adding Haggerty for 3rd through 5th grade, kind of to help those struggling readers in small groups. So it's a phonics program that you use and very scripted, but known to be successful. And we are working on adding the units of study to some of our classrooms, which is a Lucy Calkins material. It's a writing curriculum. And our current benchmark has writing curriculum, but it's not meeting the needs of all of our students. So we're hoping to supplement with something else. Like I said, Dibbles is a new purchase that we did. It's actually not very expensive at all. I think it comes down to like $7 a student. And it's not on a screen. They're taking a test with a one-on-one person, and it just takes a few minutes, and they're going to do it 3 times a year unless we're progress monitoring them. The Forefront purchase was something that we've been talking about doing for a while, and it is where our iReady scores, our Dibble scores, and anything that the teachers want to upload can put it into this account. And then when we have parent conferences, we're going to be able to show them kind of, this is where your student is, this is where they need to be, or this is how far above they are. So that's a great purchase. And then the last one, I believe, is our new SEL curriculum, Wayfinder. We were using Second Step for a few years, and a lot of teachers felt that it didn't meet the needs of their students socially and the struggles that we were seeing in our classroom. It was very juvenile. So we decided not to renew our contract with Second Step, and we purchased Wayfinder. And we have Miss Stevenson is going to be pushing in and teaching lessons for 30 minutes at least once a week with students using Wayfinder and that social emotional curriculum. So that's all I have right now. Any questions?
Thank you. It sounds like it's nice to have you on top of all that and able to just be that coordinator to help manage all the curriculum that's needed throughout the school. So thank you so much for leaning into that.
Thank you for the opportunity.
I would also just say thanks so much for getting the little kids off of the Chromebooks. That's great news.
A lot of that can go to Michelle as a thank you because we struggled for a while of we're required to test them, especially I just found out that I think it's kinder and first are required to have a remind me which screener is it, Michelle?
They need to have a dyslexia screener. So
Dyslexia,
there
thank
is a state law that all kindergartners need to be have a screener 3 times a year, and any new first grader to your school. And I don't think that had been done with fidelity. And so Dibbles, the test itself, you can just download, it's free. It's the Amplify program that kind of helps do the progress monitoring and then also goal setting. Which is also good for goal setting for kids and also for teachers. They can, have a group of students that they want to get moved from one spot to the next. And so it's pretty easy to do. So it's actually out of the University of Oregon is where it was developed. So it has letter sounds and a lot of phonemic awareness. And that's what Haggerty does. It's more like the phonemics, more like hearing of the sounds. So you've got like the seeing of the sounds and you've got the hearing of the sounds, and then putting all that all together is how we get our reading. So.
Great. Oh, and one last thing, the Columbia Gorge ESD is providing the letters program, which we believe will be required by teachers in the next 2 years to have that program kind of to increase reading, understanding. And so they are they purchased it for our school for 10 teachers to be able to take this program, which is about $900 a person. So it was very gracious of them to be able to do that. So that's something our school, any teacher that teaches reading or works with students in reading that's certified at the moment will be taking it this year. And then if funding allows in the future, we're going to make it available to educational assistants. So that's a big success for us this year.
Right. And so it was, it's not mandatory. It's just like we offered that to all the teachers. There is a $700 stipend that we're using SIA funds or the literacy fund. We're trying to figure out exactly which grant we're going to use, but a $700 stipend that will be paid if you're halfway through this year and you've done all the things you need to do, you'll get the $350, hopefully in your December paycheck. And then we'll do another one at the end of the year. And that's just, it's kind of helps you get through it. It's some work. It's some work to do it. So, and we'll meet 4 times a year in person. Most of it's online, but we'll meet 4 times a year with it. We did it at Corbett we did both years of it. And it's just good to have that same knowledge and vocabulary that you're using. And I actually think Janet Baker's taking it. And I believe that Kathy Mann wanted to take it as well. So our SPED teacher. So it's just really good for any teacher to take. So.
Any other questions or comments for Sarah Gray? And I can't see everybody because I'm sharing my screen. So make sure you either speak up or use the hand raising feature.
I have a question. For the dyslexia screening, since we haven't been doing that, are you guys going to screen some of the older kids to catch up? Or
We're actually we're using it for K-8, so so everybody's going to get it. It's a really good also progress monitoring for any kid that's on intervention, on SPED. It's just a good all around tool to have. And so what will happen is the kids that are in intervention, those EAs and Janet will kind of monitor and do that as much as possible. And then the goal is to do it for all kids that are in there. It's just it's a good baseline. So with the dyslexia screener, it is a screener. It doesn't mean your kid is dyslexic. That's only something a doctor can say. Like we're not certified to say your kid has dyslexia or doesn't have it. We can just say they are at risk of having dyslexia. And then what happens is you do it at the beginning, the middle, and the end of the year. If any kid at any level that if they're showing it's kind of, I think it's like red and yellow, and I think theirs is blue, not green. I can't remember, but it will show where they're at risk, and it jumps up every, in the mid-year, it's a little harder, at the end of the year, it's a little bit harder. Any of those kids that we, as a team, decide that we need to give more intervention to, we'll of course contact parents. And so you'll kind of have an idea, so.
Thank you.
Thanks, McKenna, for that question.
I just want to chime in and also say I really appreciate the curriculum update. That was great. And I hope it's a regular thing. I'd love to hear how the curriculums are, as they get implemented, how it goes.
Absolutely. We can make that happen.
All right, grants.
Thank you.
Yeah, and so grants, our big push right now is just to get the ESSER grant is to zero it out. So after in October, you probably will have your last update of the ESSER. So our grant was $493,902.12. So far, we've submitted $336,717.75, and that was the electrical upgrade. It was the security officer, and it was the pre-K teacher that we had. So we just did her salary, the security guard invoice, and then the electrical guard. And so what happens is that gets submitted to North Wasco. There's definitely a little disconnect between getting the invoicing out, but I think that's all done. And then we have $150,184.37. That's probably already spent. More than likely, we've spent all of it, maybe a little bit more. So fencing, we're just waiting. We're going to go ahead and we're still waiting for the gates, but we may go ahead and just get the invoice to pay for the fencing so that we can get that off of the plate. Scott was in and he has our last invoice for Gizmo. And so we'll pay that. And then our hope was to, we thought we were going to have, we thought we'd already had spent everything, but I think we're going to have a little bit of money left over. So wherever we fall into, because I think the fencing's around 80,000. And Gizmo's probably, because we've already done some of that, I think it was like 45. So we'll have some money left over. So the easiest thing to do is just submit for curriculum, because that is, it's not going to be questioned. It's, because I think for ESSER, you can do it for safety, curriculum, and anything with, I think, pre-K things. So curriculum's just an easy one. It's invoiced, they can see it. It's a quick back. And so if we don't spend it in the ESSER funds, most of the curriculum will pull out of the SIA fund. So we haven't even really looked, we've been so busy with ESSER funding, the SIA funding, that's our goal for next week, is to really start looking at that. I have no idea about the DOE grant. It's something that's still out there. Bremick is supposed to get back to us next week, but we're still waiting for the HVAC plan. And that I saw, I think Brent's been very persistent asking for it. And then I guess we found out that one of the guys was out on paternity leave, and that's why nobody was answering us. And so I think within the next week, we'll have more, I think by the October meeting, we'll have a lot more clarity on this one. SIA, we will be using it for the letter stipend, and then the curriculum, Sarah Grace's, we'll be using it for that. And then any curriculum that's not claimed will be that. Early literacy grant, that's basically our literacy specialist, Janet Baker. So that's most of her salary. It's for grants. It's just easier to do somebody's salary as well. It's easy. It's much cleaner than curriculum and trying to make sure you've jumped through all the hoops for all the other things that they need. So it's an easy comeback. So facilities, the swings are on their way. They've been shipped. I think there's a Tiger Den meeting tomorrow, I think. Is that right? I think it's tomorrow, next day. I can't remember. It's on my calendar. And we have a work party ready. We have to kind of map out where it's at, Brent. I think that let's see. Yeah, where the swings are going and where the garden is, that's where we have to kind of make sure that there's plenty of space for everybody. The garden area, I believe that Dawn has the fence, and we're just Dan, you don't, maybe you know this, but you're going to bring your tractor down and you're just to do a bunch of holes so that we can put the fencing up and the swing up. So having the holes ogged out will make the life just so much easier for everything. So
yeah, I just need somebody to tell me what to do, and I'll
Okay.
come down and do it.
Bring your tractor down. So I think we'll have more clarity on that tomorrow. I'm still bringing up the concrete for the walkway. I know that Tiffany came down and saw what we were talking about. We really need it to make a safe walkway, if not just for it. It's because it's so dry. Of course, it's going to rain this week, but just the gravel getting down there is pretty unsafe. And also the preschool entrance is also one that I really worry about. So it's just something that I don't know. I'm just kind of bringing it up again. We do have the new oven. It's really heavy and it's really big. And so I told Dawn that we have to figure out, I told her she has to figure out how we're going to get it installed. So it's a matter of getting the old oven out and putting the new oven in. And that's going to need a team of people to figure that one out. So we do have a new color copier. It's on lease. It is all installed and in use. So, and we have the old black and white copier as well. We cleaned out the whole workroom, so it's a little bit easier for teachers to work in there and get things done, but I haven't heard any complaints about the color copier yet. So anyway, I'm looking at Mary Ellen.
The concrete, Michelle, we were looking to see, there was a third bid we were waiting on, right?
No, we have all the bids, and by far this one guy was by far the cheapest. And it's because what is that? The Randy Baker, I can't remember what it starts with an S. Anyway, I mean, their bid was $4,800 and then another $4,000 for excavation. And this guy's not charging us for the excavation part of it. So he was probably $3,000 cheaper than anybody else. So, and Dawn's husband works for Hood River Sand and Gravel, and he said he would have him do work. So he's a good worker. What he does is he does fairly large jobs. And so what he told me is he would have to just fit us because, this is a very small job for him. And he said he would just fit it in when he could. So, which would be a little bit tricky during the school day. Because I don't know how the middle school would get down to school if we don't have that walkway open. So I don't know what that looks like. So, all right, I'm gonna go down to student engagement. So far, first day we took a watch away from a third grader, and then we've had one cell phone taken away the first week. I really haven't seen any. We did have a report of it. I love that the fourth and fifth graders are like watching out on the playground for the middle schoolers. They reported, but we went over there and she was actually just holding her hands in a weird position. She did not have a cell phone. So it's gone very easy, very easy. So we have Monday morning meetings. We had one on Friday because we didn't have a Monday last week. So we had a big meeting this week. Sorry, that should say we also begin Monday with the Pledge of Allegiance. It's state law that there we go. It says to change it. Thank you. State law is that it is said at least once a week in classrooms. And so this kind of checks that box for us. I know that, for some people, it's, that's how I started my classroom. Like that was just an easy way to start. There are a lot of families out there that feel very strongly that this happens. And so this kind of checks that box and we just have it happen. If they want to say it more in their classroom, they're welcome to do that. We did a video with a song about this week is all about kindness. We're just talking about that. I've interviewed about 3 or 4 kids video about kindness. They are adorable. And then I'm going to hopefully make a video for next Monday to share out with the kids. So that will be a little bit more motivating for them. Mornings are hard because it's K-8. Actually, the preschoolers come. So a lot of the middle schoolers are, rolling their eyes at us, but we're going to try and work on keeping them involved. So we'll show the kindness, and then next week we'll talk about being safe and what that means. Behaviors, I'm knocking on wood right now because it's been pretty, and I don't know if the honeymoon period is still going on, but so far, very happy. We've had a couple, just being a little unkind to each other and kind of had a little wrestling going on at football today. So I took care of that, and I think the behavior's been pretty well. Jen is kind of leading the charge for kind of a reporting system that all staff can use. That reporting system will be kind of a combination of a form that they can fill out, or they can do it online. Jen, do you want to talk to that about it?
Yeah, sure. So we're going to try to come up with one system, one form that for any behaviors is submitted either via paper or online. But the paper version, we're going to have a staff member that's going to input those. So we have a better tracking system of all of the behaviors, and anytime a behavior is sent to myself or Michelle or Lisa. I think it's going to streamline it. It's going to make it a lot easier for all staff members.
And keeping that data will also help us, like, where we need to get better, right? Where we need to look at, getting into classrooms and talking about, bullying or touching or whatever they're doing. So
yeah, it also helped us see maybe there's areas where there's, more behaviors than other areas. Usually recess, we see the most behaviors.
And they've been really good at recess, but it's also because it's well supervised.
It's well supervised and there's less kids out there.
Yeah. So the K1s are at recess on their own, the 2, 3, so it's all separate. So you only have about 40 kids at recess, if that, and at least 2 adults are out there. For the 4, 5s, we have 3 adults out there, and for the middle school, we have 3 adults out there.
And I think it probably helped that all staff, all the teachers went over the expectations on the playground with the students. And I think that probably helped as well. And we'll do some reminders, after a few weeks with the kids so that they remember what the expectations are. And I think that's going to help a lot as well.
Clubs, I think soccer starting this week. We have drama club, skate club, middle school volleyball, I believe, is going to get started here. Look out in your Tuesday folders for this. And then K1 science clubs are all being offered. Veronica and I are going to so this year we had a form that if you wanted to do a club, you filled out this form. It kind of helps us track who's doing what when they're doing it. And then we do want to maybe talk about, we're just going to kind of keep the stipends what they are right now, which I think is $350 for 9 weeks for 10 kids and under, and $750 if you have for the 9 weeks. If you have, I lowered it to 20 kids. It was at 25 kids. I lowered it to 20 kids. And then just talking about, because like drama club definitely goes longer than the 9 weeks, and how we can, and I think that's something we're gonna talk about as a staff on our September 20th. We're gonna take a half hour, just gonna talk about how they feel like we could make that more enticing, or I guess more equitable as far as the pay goes for that. So safety, we have our first evacuation drill. If you're like me, an evacuation drill is actually what I used to know as a fire drill. They don't call it a fire drill anymore. That's an evacuation drill. We have that on Wednesday. All the teachers have hopefully have gone through that with their students this week. I know the K1s have been working on that. All the drills are scheduled and have been sent to Mosier Fire Department, so they know when our drills are. We are required to do 10 fire drills, and we have to do the first one in the first 10 days of the school year. And so Daphne's on top of that. We then have to do 2 earthquake drills. And so the first earthquake drill will be on the Great American Shakeout, which is October 17th. That happens at 10:17. The state of Oregon does that all together. And then we'll have one in the spring. And then we have a lockdown and a hold drill that are also part of the OD requirements. I attended an inter-district agency meeting, which was in the Dalles, and it was principals in the Dalles, mostly grade school and middle school principals. I don't see the high school principal. We had law enforcement. It was the Dalles. Wasco County wasn't they weren't there for some, probably because they were busy. And then it had somebody from DHS, and then also from the ESD that does any of the mental and behavioral health. So we talked about updating all our contact information, being part of Safe Oregon. So I've updated all that information with Safe Oregon. Those are that's kind of like the clearinghouse for if anything major happened, they have all the contact information that they can figure out who they need. That was about it for that one. Monitors, I have a giant monitor now, so I can see all the different cameras. We added one more camera to the middle school. Jen has a camera, I have a camera, Daphne has a camera, Dawn has a camera. So we have 4 cameras. I have it on my phone. Dawn has it on her phone. We have a lot of monitoring. We're still waiting for the gates. The middle schoolers are now asking for when are the gates going to come. So they're ready for their fence to be up. And then I should have said main gate. So on the front main gate, we have discovered that we can actually set that to be locked during the school hours. So we're going to lock it from 6:30 to 3, and then it will be unlocked when school's not in session. So anytime after 3, and then actually it will be locked again at 9 o'clock at night, and then opened during the weekend. So it will look like it's shut. You can open, it will open. And then that's how people would come and go from well, of course, right now they can go to the middle school and get in there. And then I just thought about one more thing. Oh, we're numbering all of the gates. So that's for if we had to call call the fire department and they were down on the soccer field, we'd say go to gate 7. So they know what point of interest or what point of entry to go into. So all of the different gates will have a number next to them. And we're also having signage about that the gate will be when it's unlocked and locked. Any questions about facilities? Go ahead.
1 second, Amelia. So when you meet with the fire department, they can do what's called a pre-plan or a pre-fire, and it makes a map that they have in this system called Intera that they use. And so if you give them a aerial view of where the gates are and what the numbers are, they'll be able to input that into their system so that anybody who shows up and uses that same software will be able to show up and know that that's the number of the gates or whatever, however they're delineated. So
yeah, there are numbers. We think we have 7, but Dawn and I are we're going to start with the main gate being 1. Even though it seems like that south gate or the one by the preschool should be 1, but we're going to start with that because that is our main entrance. So that will be 1, and we'll just go around the building and do that till we remember. So yeah. And so yeah, planning. I've done it before where we just did a Google map, just captured it and then numbered it, and then that's great to hand it off to them.
Yeah. Avelia, you had a question?
Yeah, so I think I heard, Michelle, that you say that after 9 during the weekdays, the gates are going to be closed, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Could we thoroughly make a communication out? Because I believe there's children that still play in that at the field. I'm not sure if that late at night, but
yeah, we kind of went back and forth about whether or not it was 10 or 9, but it's dark by. It's getting dark by 8. So we kind of felt like 9 was that. And I think then we could adjust it, like next spring when it's lighter out there. We definitely went back and forth, didn't we, Jen, about like 10 or 9, what it would be. And then we kind of figured like it just would be safer to close it up at 9. But
even if, we lock that, Avelia, kids can still exit. They just can't come back in.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. So you don't have to worry about if there's kids in there playing, they can still exit. It's not going to lock them in.
Okay. Yeah.
But I heard a lot of people like, why are the gates open? Why are the gates open? Then this gives a nice view that the gates are closed. Although, like I said, you still can, at this point, it's until we get all of the gates on the middle school, it's still not as secure, but I would say the main campus feels fairly secure with the way it is. Any other questions? All right, transportation. There are some, I have a grandparent that's, we've been talking a lot about concerns about not transporting Mosier students and working a little bit with Lisa on how we could help that. I'm communicating with ODE about the charter school responsibility to transportation. I gave them the ORS about it, and she sent it back to me and said, yep, that's it. But the ORS is very messy because it kind of talks about district and school district. And so I'm just gonna kind of I am meeting with this grandparent just to talk to about their concerns. And then I also will talk a little bit more to Lisa Caseberg about it. She's trying to be very accommodating to parents that are on a route that they could pick up kids and drop off kids. But we also want to be very careful because we are very fortunate that they do the transportation that they do for us right now. So kind of walking a little bit, carefully in this. But it would be interesting to, kind of pursue, and that goes to like just the whole early pickup and all of that. So I think there's just a lot more like I said, they have a new person. They weren't super helpful. I actually think I'm going to reach out to a charter school that's actually in a charter school that's in a school district, much like Arthur Academies in, they're in David Douglas. They're in different places. I'm just going to ask them about what they do for transportation. So anyway, the Vox, which is the Swifts festival that Brian was putting on, that has been canceled. I did notice the last week because they do swirl around the chimney. They were swirling in and out. I haven't seen them for probably a week and a half, 2 weeks. And I reached out to Brian and he hadn't seen them either. And he did have somebody from the Audubon Society was kind of encouraging him to continue. And I'm happy that he's kind of decided to just cancel it. We're going to try to, they'll come back in April, May, and we'll do a better job at teaching the kids about the swifts that go in and out of the chimney, which it is kind of fun to watch them swirl around and go back in. We have a September 20th in-service. The Friday Night with the Stars has been rescheduled to the 27th. That was a tough call because at one point it did look like the skies curled up, but I think it was a good call because later on the smoke came back in. So Friday, October 11th is no school for students or staff. That's an Oregon statewide teacher in service. The 18th is no, I just put an asterisk there because that could be a possible change. So I'm just going to kind of leave the conferences off right now. Monday, November 11th is no school Veterans Day. The 22nd Friday is no school. It's an assessment day. And then we have the week of Thanksgiving break off. That's it.
Any questions for Michelle on the ED presentation there?
I just want to clarify while we're all on here and McKenna's here. Tiger Den meeting is Wednesday, correct? Or is it tomorrow?
It's
okay.
September 11th.
No, that's okay. I just thought I was mixed up with this meeting date, so I'm like, I could have mixed that up. I just wanted to, since we're public, get it out there.
Right. I couldn't remember. Sorry.
No problem.
Just trying to mess with you, Tiffany.
It's all right. It's all right. Thank you.
Okay, so that got us through our ED report. We have a few action items on here. One of them is the calendar revision. You want to just go in order, Michelle? Calendar revision, the stipend, and then contract approval.
Right. And the calendar, I did send just a quick survey out to teachers. We kind of talked about it a little bit. I had a giant 7 responses. 4 said that they would like to change. I gave option 1, which is no change to the conference schedule. Option 2 would be to move the 25th, I think, to the 1st. And so it would be the 18th and the 1st, or to move the 18th down to the 1st. So it would be 2 weeks in a row. 4 people wanted to do option 3, which would be moving the 18th down to the 1st. November 1st. And then one that wanted option 1, no change, and one that wanted option 2, which was the 18th to November 1st, and one that said it didn't matter to them. So I think that, you know, most people wanted the change from the 18th down to so getting rid of the 18th and moving it down to November 1st. The reason being is there's no school for students in Wasco D21 on November 1st. That is I call them furlough days. I think they're calling blackout days or something. So they had to change. I think their teachers, as part of their contract, they've kind of balanced their budget by having 3 non-paid days, and so they spread them out. One of them is taking November 1st off, which is kind of brilliant on their spot because nobody wants to come to school the day after Halloween. So that's not a bad day to not have school. Most teachers would probably agree to that. We'll have conferences, so we won't have school, but we will have conferences that day. The other date is, can you go down so we can see January? And the other option was moving. We had a in-service day on the 31st and moving it to the 6th. So it's a work day for licensed staff members. It would not be a work day for our classified members. And so they have it as it's not a student contact day for North Wasco, so the buses wouldn't be running that day, so it would cost us some extra money to do that. I think out of the 7 people that responded, I think all of them were okay with that January. I think one said they didn't care, so everybody was okay with that change. So, and
our changes are August. Sorry, just to track them. It's October 11th that gets moved to November 1st.
Yep. And then
January 31st moves to the 6th.
Yep. And then their last one that they did was they are ending school a day early, which works really well for us because we were already ending school on that day. So we don't need to make a change on that one. So,
okay.
Yeah, their last day for school was supposed to be the 12th and they've moved it to the 11th. So now we're right in line with what they're doing. So.
And this will be on the website then when we're done, when we approve it,
Yeah.
so that everyone can have it. I think that's the biggest thing for parents. It's just the changes. It's confusing and hard to track.
Yeah, and so this gives us, if we approve it now, this will give me the October. I think we would send it out as maybe like there's been a calendar change as a message, but it also would go into the October MCS newsletter and really bold that out, what they're doing. So, and they are going to have to schedule their conferences with their teachers so that they'll know the change for that. I think we're far enough ahead for the January one that's not going to be a huge issue. And many folks might like that because, you know, some people might want to be extending their, you know, winter break. And that gives them, I don't know. And then it was just trading one day for the other. And then the other was not a change, so.
Okay. Any questions over the calendar changes? Okay, I'll make a motion that we adopt the calendar as presented here in the meeting with the 2 changes noted by Michelle.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Tiffany. All those in favor? Any opposed, please voice your opposition.
I'm in favor too, not opposed, but in favor.
Thank you, Emily. Motion passes. All right, our second action item is a curriculum stipend paid by SIA. This is $20,000, and that was already in our agenda that came out. Michelle, do you want to offer any clarity on that so people understand what it is or how it's working? And then I'm also trying to get us out early today, so I'm trying to roll us along.
So the curriculum stipend was something that was done last year, and it comes out of the SIA grant. I can just tell you personally, it's been really helpful to have, you know, another person kind of go through that. And it's usually a position in a lot of schools that is probably half-time position at least. And so I'm really helpful. I'm very thankful for it. I don't know. It's a very needed position.
Okay. Any questions on the SIA stipend? I'll make a motion that we approve the $20,000 curriculum stipend paid by the SIA grant for Sarah Grace Bendiger. Thank you, Amelia. Second. McKenna, is that a second or a question? Okay. All those in favor?
In favor.
Thank you. Any opposed, please voice your opposition. Motion passes. Our third and final action item tonight is a contract approval. And Michelle, do you want to go over that? And I can share it. I don't know if that's something we share on our screen or if it's just something we approve. All board members already had access to it, I believe. So we don't share it on the screen.
Yeah, it is a public document, so I mean, it's not a
Okay.
huge thing if it's shared or not shared. So it is. We just I told Jen, I'm so sorry this is taking so long. We were so busy trying to get everybody else's, especially the classified people, their number of days and hours and stuff. And so we knew that Jen was going to work, whether she had a contract or not. And see, she's still here. Anyway, so we just kind of updated the days. Updated her salary to the next level, and she got the 4% raise and all of that. Will the hope is next year that we do a little bit better contract, like probably not quite to the extent of mine, but a contract that has a little bit more in it. We'd like to get her a little bit of professional development money, some tuition reimbursement money, just as just even a small piece to show her that we do value the fact that she's working on her education. And I guess that's about it. So go, Jen.
Okay. And this is a contract that's in line with the already approved Schedule A that we talked about. It's just putting that in writing, and we do that every year for all of our employees. So.
And Dan, sorry, I do have a question real quick. I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Did you say that documents were sent out for us to see ahead of time?
I might have been, let me look and see. Maybe I only went to.
No, probably that. And that's my fault. I'm sorry. I've just been trying to get the beginning of school going. So. And
okay, no worries. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't missing.
No. It's the same contract she had last year, and it's following the salary, so we have a schedules for classified, certified administrators, and then seems like there's one other thing that we have. I can't remember. Oh, the business manager. So we have different salary schedules, and it's just following that salary schedule that I think you guys already approved last year.
I'm forwarding it to you all right now. Give me just 1 second. Okay, it just got forwarded. Sorry, I didn't see who all was on the stream, the email stream there. So it is just, it's a continuation of last year's contract, but just updated the Schedule A to reflect where the contract is for this year. And that was a last minute change to our agenda.
Okay, great. Thank you. I was gonna say, I don't see it on the agenda either. Are we still good? Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Just
go ahead, Marie.
Would it be okay? Just I'm just hearing Thad in my mind right now saying, adding things last minute.
Yes.
I just wonder if we could take 5 minutes just to read the document and come back. That way we all look like we're thoughtful and we've done our due diligence.
Certainly, yeah. And I don't know if we actually have to do it this meeting. We could also put it in the next meeting. Michelle, can you clarify on that?
I mean, that's up to you. I mean, Jen's getting paid the salary that's already there. And it's just because it virtually is the same exact document. Actually, it went from 210 days to 220 days. So it's 10 more days and, but a little bit increase in that. So
let's just move it to the next meeting then. We don't have to stress about it. Jen, you'll still get your paycheck, I promise.
Yeah. So Michelle, you did move it to 220. Okay. You did see that. Okay.
So it's in all of your email, Mosier, board members, and we'll just move that to the next meeting. Okay, thank you, Marie.
Yeah, and I certainly don't want to come across as, it sounds
No, I don't.
overboard. I think we're just,
I appreciate it.
And that's totally my fault. Again, we had been talking, Jen's been like, where's my contract? And she's been very patient. So we were just trying to get that out. And we were going to try to revise it, but we just decided just to keep it like it was last year, just to keep it basic. And then we will go through and spend some time and put some thought into it for next year. So.
Okay. Any other questions regarding the executive director report? That brings us to item number 8. So Marie, did you just mark on here? I'll update, and I'll send you the updated agenda here. I'll just mark this is tabled for the next meeting. Item number 8 is our garden work party. This is on the 29th of this month, sorry. So it's just a bunch of people are going to come down. We're going to put in those swings. I just wanted to vocalize it again that this is going to happen. If people want to come out and work, I'm sure there'll be work to do. Try and meet with stakeholders that are involved to get a better idea of where things need to go prior to the meeting. But if we need to use the tractor for any other work that's there while it's there, we can get that done. So we can save some energy and time later on. So whether it's moving the dirt around, moving the garden stuff, whatever it happens to be, we can, get an idea what that is and make a plan for it. So.
It does seem like the date is incorrect on the agenda. My understanding is it's on the 28th.
Is it? I don't know.
Emily,
can you speak to that? On the 29th, correct? Yeah, on the Sunday.
Okay. I'll update the email you sent out today.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yep. We had planned previously for a different day, and then I think we really needed Dan and his auger, and he was working, so we shifted it to the Sunday. Is that, Dan, is that sounding right to you? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, McKenna, for catching that.
So yeah, I'm happy to help out however I can and do whatever work needs to get done down there. So, but as we move forward, just a better idea of what we're going to do and I know there's a lot of people involved in it. So I want to make sure we meet all the expectations and I know what the expectations are prior to doing the work the day of. And I can move it down there earlier too and do some other work if necessary. I just want to make sure that we get what we want to get done and can get those swings in and get that part of it done.
Yeah. Just to give everyone kind of a brief overview, we're looking to remove the current swings on the 20th of September and also do some juniper removal. And then that'll help us kind of prepare the area for the work party on Sunday, the 29th, where we will have folks down there to help install the new swing set and then also kind of decommission the old garden so that we can move forward with the garden revamp.
Thanks, Emily. Any other questions or comments regarding the garden work coming up on the 20th and 29th? And that brings us to item number 9, community involvement and outreach. So we added, was it Marie or McKenna or Emily? Who wanted me to add that? Oh yeah, Tiffany, thank you.
Yeah, so the Tiger Den is wanting to, we kind of floated this idea last year, knowing Michelle was coming in, that this fall we'd have some gatherings where we can bring the community, parents can meet her, and maybe, it would be ideal, we're hoping for like 3 to 4 board members. We're thinking of doing 2 different ones, one in Mosier and one in the Dalles. Again, just all ideas, but just because being as most of the families are from the Dalles, it just seems like they might actually come and meet Michelle if we held something in the Dalles. It'd be easier for them, I think. But before we start planning and get ahead of ourselves, we wanted to see if board members were interested and could do that and make that happen. And because Michelle's here now, I know Casey already reached out to her for dates. And so just maybe now if we could set some dates, and then on Wednesday, the Den can run with the planning and where that needs to go. And the thought too from Kay Alton was that the one in Mosier could be more Hispanic based for those families. And we definitely, even with the food and, you know, having someone that can speak the language there. What do you guys think?
And the date she proposed was Thursday, October 10th and September 25th, which we were kind of like, well, that's conferences. So that actually works out better that we've now moved conferences. So, and I don't know which date she wanted where, so.
We have
a time.
Oh, go
ahead. What time of day are they looking to be?
Evening, I think, because it's probably more accessible for parents to do it an evening thing.
I'd be happy to be involved either of those days or both of them.
October 10 and 25th, did I hear correct?
Those were her proposed dates.
Okay, yeah, I'm happy to.
September 25th and October 10th, right?
No, both October, right? Michelle, or no, do you have, is it September? I don't know what she asked you.
No, you're right. You're right. It was October 25th. Sorry.
Is that okay?
It was a conference day. That's why. So yeah, it is October. So
is that something we think is, is that okay? Like Michelle, you think people will still, I mean, they still have conferences. Kids just aren't in school, right?
They won't have conferences on that day though, because we just switched. Oh no, they will have conferences on that day.
Right.
So,
we switched the 18th, right? To the 1st.
Well, yeah. So there will still be the 25th. I think we just decided that you could still do it. Because if you do it in the evening, like 6 or 7, I think it'll still be fine. So
will conferences be done by then?
Well, that's something we're going to talk about with the teachers, about when. So some of them will, some of them won't. We're trying to kind of make that a little bit flexible for the teachers. Hopefully.
What if we did the 18th now? Given that it's free, would that maybe be better if we shot for great. Like the 10th and the 18th?
Yeah.
Both of October?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that those dates look great, and just want to clarify, this is an opportunity for, like, what is it exactly?
Like, the goal is to have the parents and community, anyone for that matter, that wants to meet Michelle, and also like have a chance to meet some board members, and if they have questions, or just to understand too what the board even does, because I do think, just being new to the board myself previously, I wasn't entirely sure. And so also I think when parents have issues, if they know more like the roles and then also know the faces, and particularly Michelle, it would just help them if they have issues or concerns or good ideas to bring, I don't know, just that community building,
Yeah. That's, oh, go ahead, Marie.
It would be a good opportunity also to maybe inspire future board members.
For sure. And volunteers.
And
even.
Folks know also about the grievance process, and that we are the very, very final last resort.
Yeah.
I think that, that's something that we definitely want to share, and also just let folks know what our roles and responsibilities are and what we do. I think,
So I don't think you could have I think you have to keep it down to 3 board members then, right? Otherwise it's going to be like meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So 3 is perfect.
That said, we could just post it publicly, right? And have some minutes if more want to be there.
Well, I won't be able to make the 18th, so.
Perfect.
I can't go to either, sorry.
That's okay. I mean, even 2 would be great. 3 would be ideal, but if 2 and different people, if possible, or if it's the same ones that can do it, so be it,
I would love to too, but I think those are the 2 weeks we're going to be out.
Yeah.
Sorry, I
Doesn't
just
mean
have
we can't-
one more
we can't do-
question. Oops, sorry,
Go
Dan.
ahead, Emily.
I'm so sorry. I am wondering if this is something that the Tiger Den is organizing, or if this is something that the board is going to organize.
No, the Tiger Den. We just don't want to do it if like the board's not available. We don't want to, create the event because the idea and the goal is to have Michelle and a couple board members at each one.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you. That's all I got.
Okay, so that's pretty much all I need. It sounds like we got a couple that could be at each date, so I'll just take this to Wednesday's meeting if that sounds good, those dates.
Yeah, just reach back out to the board, please. Just send an email that kind of after it's done so I don't forget.
No, yeah. After Wednesday, I'll update what like happens with it then and let you guys all know. Thank you.
Thank you. That brings us to item number 10, which is our ED eval process. Marie sent out a webinar about kind of how that process goes, and there's a really good there's some links for OSBA that has the different types of evaluations that we can do as a board, but also with Michelle figuring out what kind of tailor fits. We have a weird model here where she's not truly the superintendent of a district, and she's more than a principal. So it's finding a model that works for the school, that works for Michelle, so she has good feedback. And so we're supposed to, technically do it quarterly, where we have a sit down, or at least there's a meeting with her, and a lot of times there'll be a exec session tied to that meeting. And so board members, I guess my assignment for you is to read up on OSBA, and I'll send an email out after this meeting, but read up on the types of evaluations that we can do for both the quarterly and then for the year, and then reply back to me once you've done that and you're having your understanding. And I'll have a meeting with Michelle to see with her what fits best for what she's seen in the past, what works, and go from there and report back to the board. Any questions on that process or what we just talked about? Go ahead, Emily.
I figured out where my hand was. I don't have to interrupt. Dan, do you have a timeline when you'd like us to get back to you?
Before next month's meeting. So I'll send an email out after this meeting so that you have kind of a placeholder and a reminder to go back to, and then that way you can look at that, and then after Michelle and I talk, get a better idea of what will work and what our options are. Michelle and I have early morning calls at times when I'm going to work to try to check in. So there's checking in going on, and we're talking regularly about whatever the issue is of the moment. So, but I'm, it behooves us to have an open evaluation process so that she knows where she's at and what our expectations are, and what if there's things that we don't like that we want to see change, or what we want to work on, if things that she needs to have us change, that's kind of an open thing there. So luckily she doesn't, she reaches out when she needs something done, but if we have a formalized process as a board and a school, I think it's a good time for us to get on that and get after it and have it done before our next meeting, have the process decided. So something that we can discuss at the next meeting and then formally adopt it. All right. Our OSBA training, item number 11, that's going to be October 23rd. All right, I'm just looking at my calendar again. Okay. Marie, do we have anything on that? I know you had a few topics you had added on there, or you had discussed.
It's going to be at 5 p.m. with Kristen Miles from OSBA, and we're set for reviewing basic roles and responsibilities of board members, public meeting law, policy update schedules. How does a board review policies in a way where we don't get a backlog of policies, and make sure that we're addressing new policies, as well as charter school fundraising. And there had been interest in also discussing board advocacy and how board members can advocate for schools and their districts. And Kristen Miles and I said we'd touch base before the training to just review the topics again. So I'm going to be asking her if she'd be willing to put that in as well. So if any board members have topics that they'd like to have covered, please send me an email. I'll probably be touching base with Kristen in the next week or two. But she's also amenable, so if something comes up later, and she's very accommodating. So if anything ever comes up that you think, wow, I really wish I knew more about this topic, just send me an email. Because if it's something pressing to you, you could also maybe just reach out to her and have a conversation over the phone.
Is it online or are we meeting in person for that one?
That is virtual.
Okay, thank you.
It'll be virtual.
Could we also get clarification on the future board meetings? Because I noticed that we need to have that updated on our website because we have last year's on there. So is the 23rd OSBA and a board meeting or just OSBA?
That is just OSBA training.
Okay.
And thank you for flagging that, Michelle. I'll put that on my list. Yeah. Okay.
I'm the big holdup for those meeting dates. I'm sorry about that, but I did go through and print off through Outlook just all of the calendars for next year so that I can, go through there and work with Maria on the dates that work. And then some dates, if it doesn't work for everybody else and it happens to be a day that's not good for me for my work schedule, Julie or someone else can always run the meeting if I can't make it, but I'd like to try and make them if possible. But again, my schedule is, for all those who don't know, it changes every week. It's never the same. So it's just some days some weeks, some months, the second Tuesday is already taken. So, but Maria, I will forward that information to you so we can have that set up.
And our next meeting next month is on the 8th of October, correct?
Let me look. Yes, it's on the 8th.
And then maybe while we're at it, we can confirm. So we have October 8 at 5 p.m. We have November 11 at 5 p.m. We have
November 11th is a holiday. It's Veterans Day, so I don't really think you're supposed to be meeting that holiday.
I think it's the 12th.
It's the 12th.
Right, it's the 12th.
Okay, thank you.
I work the 12th, but we can always just schedule it that way. We can always have it the 12th, and I just will not run it, and I can sign in from work. And if I get a call, if and when I get calls, Julie, if you're fine with running the 12th, we'll just get the agenda set out that week before.
And I have December 10.
Go ahead, Avelia.
I recall that we mentioned about maybe having a board meeting in person. I think it would also allow for anyone that would like to chat or meet with us as a board, that opportunity as well. Is that something that we're still looking into, or something that?
Yeah, that's great. I'm fine with any of those. If we decide we want to have one of them in person, we just need to have it set up ahead of time, and any one of those can be in person.
Yeah, we talked about somebody has an owl camera, right?
I do.
Okay, because when you do that, I think you still have to at least, I don't know that they actually have to be able to call into it, but you have to if you're doing in person, you also have to have it online as well. That's new. since COVID. So anyway, but it would be, if you have an OWL camera set up, it's pretty easy to do. So, if you could make that, don't do it in October, but maybe in November. So I can get that figured out.
Well, if that's the case, do you work all that week, Dan, or is it possible?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I work, and maybe I'll just miss the November meeting because it seems that I'm just checking my other calendar, my other boss's calendar, and she has me scheduled for something that whole week. We're gone. So,
what about what about the 19th? So one thing Veronica said would be helpful for her and financials is to not do it so close to the first of the month, is to do it a little bit later, because then she can get the financials done, because a lot of stuff isn't reconciled by then. So
we can also do the reconciliation another month later if we have to.
yeah.
You know, the 19th works for me.
Of November?
Yeah.
I'm also happy to help out either date, Dan, either that week of the 12th or the 19th. Yeah.
19th is good for me.
Me too.
That's fine.
All right. Let's November 19th, make that one the 19th, and then December 12th, 10th works. We're going to try to do the 19th in person. Okay. Are you saying it's an OWL camera? What's it called?
It's called an OWL because it goes around it like an owl's head, like and it just follows who's ever talking.
Okay.
And Michelle, I can help out with that. I do hybrid meetings all the time.
Oh, okay, well, good. So we can practice.
Great.
And then
January.
This week I'll get with Marie and get all the rest of the dates sent out, so we don't have to go through it in the meeting here.
Should we try to shift to later in the month to support Veronica?
What do you think, Michelle?
Well, it was just something she mentioned today, I think, when we were talking about, because I think she really does want to have all that, but I think it's so close to the first of the month that she's still trying to get all the stuff together and reconciled. So, it's up to you guys. So whatever works. It might just be a month behind what you want. So.
I mean, if it's going to give us a clearer picture of the finances, it seems like it would behoove us.
Yeah, I'd rather not be behind. Or, I mean, if we can help it, I guess.
Yeah.
I agree. So much work has gone into getting us to a point where we're not behind. So we might as well just really live it up and give Veronica a couple of weeks to get everything to us.
The only thing I want to check is make sure that our constitution bylaws don't state it has to be in the second week or something like that. Something weird. We're moving it around, but I don't think it does. I just want to make sure that we check before we make any more changes. Another thing, Avelia just emailed me and she had to leave. She had something going on, but the 19th does not work for her. She was hoping to be there for translation. Oh, you're right there. Sorry. I thought you had left. Yeah, so that's one of those things where it can be the 12th and I'm just not there. If that works for everybody. I'd rather have, I don't want to have my schedule dictate that it, then we're underserving a great part of our community and population. That's like, you know what I mean? Like,
it could, I mean, just
meeting there is not that important.
In the spirit of brainstorming, it could be that we do the in-person on October 8th, because that kind of lines up nicely with what the Tiger Den folks are thinking. And it could be an opportunity. I mean, maybe you only do one, maybe we do the Dow's visit with the Tiger Den and then an in-person board meeting on the 8th in Mosier.
Yeah, that could be good. I mean, yeah, I like that. Less to plan too, but people are still getting opportunity to see and meet and, yeah.
Yeah, and you could have some conversation time either before or after the meeting. So we used to do that at Corbett too, where they had like their board meetings are at 7. So they would have something, just kind of a meet the whatever superintendent he would do at 6 o'clock, he would do something. So
Do they have to be a Tuesday? I'm just thinking it in as a parent, if you do want to have a conversation after a meeting with even a teacher or some board members, you probably, I guess I'm just thinking it, and you probably don't want to have such late conversations on a Tuesday night. Just something else that maybe we should think about. Do we really have to, just for this in-person meeting, does it have to be a Tuesday?
No, the part of it is like, as long as it's a night of the week, it's always going to impact somebody's school day unless it's a Friday. And then if we're going to have it on a Friday or any other time like that, then it's impacting people this is their work. And so, like for us, we're volunteering, but for the employees who are on, it's kind of, I don't want to put it on a weekend. Fridays to me encroaches on the weekend. When people are expected to be off and away from work. So, right, I don't know if there's a better day during the week that's, I'm open to input on that, but I also don't want to encroach on anybody's personal time any more than we already are.
What if we did it on the 10th because we're not doing school that date we floated for the community outreach that same week, or just an idea?
because the 11th is a non-school day.
Right.
The 10th of October?
Yeah.
Yeah, either one works for me. 8th, so either the 8th or the 10th, but you're saying I'd do the meeting on the 10th?
Yeah, and if the in-person one instead, because then maybe that would help what Avelia was saying, like then it's a weekend because it's a Thursday, but we don't have school Friday.
I would appreciate that if it's going to be in person, just to allow us to stay and talk freely. And so that October 10 sounds good to me.
How about everybody else?
I won't be available the 10th, but go ahead without me.
So October, if it works, it gets adjusted to the 10th in person. November, what's the date on November that we're in?
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I offered to be there to support with the OWL. I'm not 100% sure if the 10th is going to work because of my work, but we can pencil it in and I can check in with my boss on my work schedule and then get back to you all. But I'm not 100% certain on the 10th right now.
If the 10th, just we can plan for it. If the 10th doesn't work, do we just put it on the 8th?
I think right now just my 2 cents, I think we just really need to set board meetings right now, just so that we have those on there. The community engagement, what I think is a lovely idea and hope. I'm just going to tell you that that's probably not going to be super well attended.
Yeah.
And that is just kind of what happens. The good news is everybody's coming in for conferences on the 25th and November 1st. And, I'll certainly be there, but you do have a lot of coming and going during that time, and maybe just having a couple board members available at that time when you're already, at that point, it might be a thing. And then definitely, I do think it's a good idea to schedule something in the Dells at some point, but not having it tied to a board meeting. So.
Well, right now we have outreach on the 10th and the 18th, right? Those are the 2 days for outreach. And board meetings we're trying to decide on whether the 10th or later on in the month will work, 10th or the 8th. I think we had it scheduled initially on the 8th.
Should
there's a lot of
we?
meetings there. Go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, I hate to table this, but now just it looks like maybe we should all look at our calendar and see. I kind of like what Michelle was saying, that maybe we should, as board, schedule ourselves just to go into these conferences 2 at a time and just make ourselves available
Okay.
for parents to talk to. And that way we can continue to keep our scheduled Zoom meetings that seem way less complicated.
I mean, your board meetings are a business meeting, and I think it's really important that we also have them at least somewhat scheduled out. Just like the calendar, just like the academic calendar that we have. We need to kind of at least get something on there so people know and have it as consistent as possible. And I know that's really hard with lots of 7 people's different schedules, so.
Let's just stick to the 8th, sorry, as our Zoom meeting. We'll have the other things we've talked about. For November, you've talked about moving it back for the business manager, right? The last we talked, it was potentially the 19th. Michelle, I'm fine having it be another month later too. I mean, it's nice that it's timely, but it's not, whether it's a day after or a month later, we're not going to change something that's bought on a credit card. It's all it is just or whatever the thing is that we're looking at. We're not changing it, whether it's, or even an hour later versus whatever. So to me, it's, I would like to have it be consistent. It's something that's easy for Veronica to do. And if it takes her, if it's 6 weeks later, that's fine, rather than being, adding another week and changing our schedule from what we've always been doing.
Yeah.
Does anyone have any input on that? And Michelle, I'm sure what's your opinion on that
I think we also have to be somewhat consistent on either the second Tuesday or the third Tuesday or whatever. That's just a kind of a general thing that most school districts do, that it's always on that. Can it be one day here or there? Occasionally, yes, but it does need to be somewhat consistent.
Okay. Do you think the third Tuesday of the month or the fourth Tuesday would be, which you prefer?
I would do the second or the third Tuesday, whatever. Either keep what you have the second Tuesday or go to the third Tuesday.
Okay.
All right.
So
I'll work with Marie on my calendar. I'll work with you on that so we can look through over to the next full year and see what the open days are. I can't tell you right now because I don't have it in front of me that far out. But we can see which one most aligns with the schedule, so we can just schedule it out. Does that work for you, Marie?
Oh yeah, consistency is good, and I'll work with you, and I think we, like Michelle was saying, just need to pin down the dates and
get
them out there. And it sounds like the third Tuesday or a third day, if we look at your schedule and it looks like, Thursdays are better for you, or Wednesday as chair, I think.
There'll always be months that it doesn't align with. I just can't change, just as the way it works with the offset schedule. So, but we'll look ahead like for next year and see, okay, which day of the month is better than that. Sometimes one day is better than it only hits that day twice a year versus like 6 times or something. So, but yeah, we have our next 3, right? 10-8.
I'm confused.
11-12 and 12-10. And Julia's going to run 11-12. Copy. Perfect. All right. So we'll get back. We'll have all the stuff set up for the next one so we can just approve it and move forward. Sorry, this is taking so long.
Thanks, everybody.
That finishes up our ALSA training topic number 11. Let's go to topic 12, which is committee reports, fundraising with McKenna.
Hey, so I'm trying to look at some outside the box ways to maybe get some low-hanging fruit. One of the things with fundraising that we haven't really tackled in the past is like company matches. So employer funds that are matched. And a lot of people are donating to the school, but maybe haven't realized that they can double that impact. And so I'm gonna put together a sheet and add it to the website, and also maybe a email where we can let people know how to do that. And then also we've had like requests on how to make sure it's really clear that we are offering tax credits and making sure that that's something that people are aware of. And so we'll just really lay it out really easily and make sure everyone knows how to take advantage of those advantages. And then also, of course, keep asking for funds from other ways like grants as well.
McKenna, I really appreciate all your work and enthusiasm for fundraising. Thank you.
And we have, I know in the past we talked about a couple runs. There is a turkey trot this year, right?
Yeah.
And then we talked about maybe adding another run in, like a springtime run or something like that.
That's right.
As a fundraiser, so those will be exciting. I'm looking forward to the turkey trot. Cool, thank you, McKenna. Any questions for McKenna on fundraising? Yeah, I'll be interested to see, how that applies for taxes and stuff like that for the 501(c)(3) and what we talked about earlier today, just so everyone's aware. But there's, if you're with Cultural Trust of Oregon, you can donate and you can double your donation impact and get the tax credit. So we'll see what that means. So currently, like if you donated to OPB or in the Oregon Cultural Trust, they'll take $1,000 off your state income taxes. So it'd be interesting to see if we can get involved in that. So, awesome, thank you. That brings us to item 13, which is the end of our meeting. Appreciate everybody, all that you've added to this meeting and the great ED report, Michelle. Thank you. Looking forward to the work we have over the next month.
Bye,
See you all
folks.
then.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Mark.